You ever ask your spouse, your partner, or maybe your kids, what do you want to eat for dinner? And the response you get is, I don't know. And it drives you up the walls. Raise your hand. Because it sure drives me up the walls. Now, I don't have kids, but I do have a spouse. And so I'm just cooking for us both. And there are days when decision fatigue is at its high. I don't want to think. I'm like, what do you want to eat? Tell me, and I'll put it together. And when I get, I don't know, I have to do wusa to center myself because now I have to make decisions. And when I don't know is the response, the question is, okay, what should I cook? No, I hope by the end of this video, when I'm done, you are going to know the questions to ask yourself, even though you don't want to ask questions because you're tapped out. But think of it as a checklist that you're going to go through that's going to help you make the decision a little faster. So when my spouse says, I don't know, I want to add that we've been doing the song and dance for long enough now that that's not the only question he asks. So I will ask the question, what do you want to eat? The response will be, I don't know. What do you have? Or what do we have? See, because I've already trained him to do that. And so this leads me to my first question or first thing to check. What do you already have? What do I already have in my fridge and my pantry? So you do that little quick search of what's available, what's right in front of you. But sometimes that's not enough, right? So, okay, you see you have a couple of things. Another thing that you want to think about is maybe what are you in the mood for? Again, that can be very broad, but it will at least start to help you narrow based on what you have available, what you're in the mood for. And you could also tack on to this as, what do I want to put effort into, right? So having identified what you have available, the next thing to think about is, what am I going to start with? Like, what sounds good? What sounds appetizing? What sounds not even just edible, but what sounds like I could get into? And you're going to use that one thing as your anchoring point. So build your meal around this one thing. So oftentimes when I will say, what do you want to eat? It's because I want to do something real quick and easy. My partner knows this. So sometimes he will say pasta. And that right there, I grab that because that's the anchor. So I know I can build a meal around this pasta. And in doing so, I can identify some of the things that go well with the pasta. So she's identified pasta that has taken care, so that takes care of the carbs. The question now is, okay, what am I going to pair this with? So of course, a protein source that's going to go well with this, typically chicken. Either chicken that's left over or chicken that I would need to cook, right? And depending on what I have access to in my fridge, that will determine the direction I go. But more so, what will also determine the direction I go is, what do I have capacity for? What am I willing to do? Because even though I might have the thing in the fridge, I still have to look at what my energy can accommodate. So what do I have the energy to do? How much effort do I want to put into this meal? How much time do I want to spend on this meal? That is going to help determine what the meal turns out to be, or the method rather that I might choose to build this meal with. And then, so that's 3 things. And then the 4th thing is, what is missing from the meal? or what is the thing that can either round it out to make it a little more balanced and or bring it together. So in the case of this pasta dish, pasta is the anchoring point. I'm going to put protein because I want to make sure it's protein rich. And then I could add some vegetables. And more than likely, again, because I already surveyed the fridge and pantry, I know what vegetables I have and what could work. So maybe some spinach that might be thrown into this pasta dish. Maybe some tomatoes that I have in my fridge could go with this pasta dish. Some peppers could also probably go into this pasta dish. So that takes care of the vegetables that I want to add. That's what's missing from the meal. So I've got my carbs, my protein, and my vegetables slash a little fiber. And then another thing I would ask myself is as far as what's missing is, now what's going to bring this together? What's going to make it taste a little yummier? And I'm going to choose cream sauce. I could also choose some marinara sauce, but the cream sauce is a preference for him, so I would use the cream sauce. And that brings the meal together. So right then and there, I know that the anchoring thing is the pasta. I'm going to add protein to it through chicken. I'm going to add some vegetables to add a little more nutrition. And then I'm going to bring everything together with a cream sauce. Now, as far as what I'm willing to do, because I could go the easiest route with this dish, if I have chicken that's already been cooked, then I know the only thing that's going to happen is cut that up and put it in there. There's no extra cooking that needs to be done. The only cooking that needs to happen is the pasta. That's the max effort that needs to be exerted. Adding the pasta to some hot water, getting that cooked, and then adding that pasta to the cream sauce once it's warmed up. So there's some cooking, but everything else comes together fairly easy. Now, if I did not have pre-cooked chicken, I know I will more than likely have some seasoned chicken already in the fridge. It just needs to be cooked. I could either choose to do the easiest thing, which is pop it in the air fryer while the pasta is boiling, so it takes care of that. Or if I was not in a rush, or I was okay with taking my time, or I just felt like doing it, I would then pan sear the chicken. So that's going to add a little more time, takes a little more patience, and pan searing the chicken, setting it aside, and then adding it back to the pasta dish once I'm bringing it all together. So that's dependent on what am I willing to do. If I wasn't willing to do that, then maybe the pasta dish would not happen if I didn't have all the ingredients already, especially if I didn't have the chicken or if I didn't already have pre-cooked chicken. So my capacity and my willingness also drives what I choose to do. Or more importantly, my willingness and capacity drives more so the methods used to bring a meal together than worrying about the actual ingredients. Because I could be willing to do a lot, but if I have easier options, then I'm going to choose the easier options. If I didn't have the easier options and I'm willing, then I would choose to go the longer route. So when trying to make decisions around a meal or try around building a meal, whether that's making dinner, lunch, or breakfast, knowing your capacity is important. Knowing how much you're willing to put into putting this meal together is important. But more so, starting from what you already have is important. And then building your meal with one anchor point or one thing that's going to give you direction. Because I could have also gone with maybe doing a pasta bake. So that's the other thing. There are different options. But again, if you know what you're willing to do, know what you have capacity for, that's going to make things simpler for you. And then you can utilize recipes to help you. So, for instance, if I wanted to spend a little more time and make a little more elaborate of a meal, I could have done maybe a pasta bake, which would have required boiling the pasta, sauteing the chicken, mixing it with the sauce and the veggies, and grating extra cheese, but also preheating the oven, getting the oven prepped, greasing a pan, putting it in there, covering up with cheese, putting that in the oven, waiting for it to bake. That's a little more labor intensive than doing it the other way. If I was in the mood for that, that's an option. So you see what I'm saying, that even though you observe what you have, you know what you have, you know what's missing, you know what you could add to it. But if what you're willing to do doesn't match what you have, then you're going to be at odds. So it's important for you to understand the avenues as well. Like, what are your options? Again, if takeout is what you come down to, then that's what it comes down to. No shame in that, but know that it boils down to a decision-making thing. That's the reality. Meal building is still about making decisions. And a recipe don't necessarily make the decision for you. Cooking or choosing to cook something doesn't necessarily make the decision for you. What you have and what you have capacity for, those things do. And it's important for us to recognize that, because we're all not going to have the same energy every day. We're all not going to want to do the same things every day. So we have to understand that and kind of line ourselves up, or choose things, or choose what you're going to do that's in alignment with that. So if you don't have the capacity, don't choose something that you don't have the capacity for. If you do have the capacity, you do. But also be gentle with yourself in recognizing that, because you make multiple decisions a day. You've got a life, you've got work, you've got other responsibilities. And cooking should not be another one that's a chore or that's hard. And for some people it is. But I also believe that how you think about building your meals will make a difference, because you always have options. Right? So the next time you face that issue where you ask, what should I cook? That's not the best question. When you don't know what to make, go through these 4 things. What do I already have? What can I anchor my meal with? What's missing, and or what can I add to add nutrition and or bring the meal together? And lastly, what do I have capacity for? Which you might want to start with. I think oftentimes we probably should start with that one, because just answering that question can even help you to decide whether or not you're going to even look in the fridge to see what you have. Because the reality is sometimes you just have no capacity whatsoever. And you're like, I'm not even going to look. I'm just going to either order something, or I'm just going to go for some cereal. And again, be patient with yourself. Have grace. Have compassion for yourself. We're human beings living in a world that requires so much of us. And sometimes it's hard to even just give ourselves the kind of care that we really, really do need. We have to be intentional with that. And nourishing yourself through food is one of those ways to be intentional, but it takes practice. Meal building takes practice. So give yourself some grace. Every day is not gonna be perfect. I often say it, imperfectly doable is better than perfectly not done. So a little bit today still counts. A little bit tomorrow still counts. So if you can practice these things every time you face the situation of not knowing what to make or build, you get better at learning the best ways to nourish yourself, learning your way through the kitchen, learning your way through the things that work best and well for you. Right? So until the next video, please remember that you want to take it one nourishing step at a time. and I'll see you back here tomorrow.